Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Mardek, and of course last time we brought Legion to life, so we now have a new character, and we'll have Meridor and Gloria tag along as well. Now we've spent a little bit of time looking at what makes Legion unique, however, there are a lot of differences between Legion and basically every other character that we've ever had in our party, so we're going to explore some of that this time around. We also might make our way back into the Water Temple, because of course we made our way about halfway through, but then did not get the chance to actually pick up the water crystal, of course. So, most notably, let's just take a second here, look at Legion's skills, active skills at that, and they are called MIMICRY, and it says recall notable monster skills that have been observed. So remember that Meridor said that he designed Legion in order to be able to learn abilities from the world around it, and so that is basically way that Legion is going to learn active skills. So unlike every other character in the game where we would throw on an item and that item would give them the chance to master a skill after using a certain number of times, Legion is entirely different. So we're going to explore that further today. And I think we should be able to make our way back into the Water Temple and do some of that there. So what exactly do I mean? Well, I will show you. So of course that means making our way back over to Lake Quir. And we also likely will need to restock on Oxale, which, and we did load up a bit on that. Like I was saying before, you can theoretically just get more and more from the Shaman if you feel like you want it. And so yes, we have plenty here in item storage, so we can use it here. Get us ready to go back down. And unfortunately, there's no way to teleport back into Water Temple, so we will need to make our way back through the bottom of Lake Quir in order to get there. And I think we'll be alright. Will give us more of an opportunity, of course, to learn the ropes with Legion. Oh, and before we do jump in, let's just make sure that we load up on some items as well, because, yeah, Legion and Meridor as well don't really have much in the way of items that are specific to what we're going to want to use in the Water Temple. So we do have still a water pendant on both Mardek and Gloria. That's probably a pretty good idea, seeing as how we're expecting to primarily take water damage, but might we be able to do something kind of like that with Legion and or Meridor? Might be worthwhile. We did, of course, also craft several items for Meridor and Legion. Well, in the case of Legion, we may or may not have made the same item twice, but no worries there. Meridor, we can either have the Flamethrower, which belches flames like a dragon, inflicting fire damage on all foes, which, you know, Water Temple may not be a fantastic idea. I think we saw we had Donovan down there briefly, and a lot of enemies did have some fire resistance, so we didn't find that Donovan was going to be a great person to have down there. Also, obviously being a fire elemental character, Donovan was going to take extra damage from water attacks, and that will also be the case for Meridor. So it's not ideal, but because it has been so long since we last played with Meridor, I would like to at least find a way to make him make an appearance here. So, in that case, what about Gasomatic Craps? It's an invention for use by an inventor. It sprays out a noxious gas which inflicts poison on all foes. So that is, perhaps, somewhat useful, applying poison. However, I don't think it's going to do much in the way of directly dealing damage, but it could beat using Flamethrower. Flamethrower is actually not going to deal much damage anyway. So, maybe we stick with that. Let's look at item storage and figure out what else we want to put on in, say, the miscellaneous spots. Do we, for example, have more of those water pendants lying around? I do think we do. It's just a matter of finding who to take them from. Carla, we can probably take one from you. And the cog necklace is not terribly relevant right now. Getting the sleep resistance from the cog necklace is not going to be the most important thing down in the Water Temple. We'd probably prioritize water resistance over that. Likewise, other things like, say, getting a strong chestplate on. Dark Robe has been great for us. Not necessarily something that is specific to the Water Temple per se that we'd want to have dark resistance, but more so a long-term investment in Meridor's future in a way there, so maybe we throw that on. And then, other than that, we're looking for a helmet, and we did, of course, nab Meridor's helmet for others because it is quite good. Likewise, with Gloria's helmet, the Feather Crest, I'm thinking because both of those items provide a magic offensive reaction. So let's throw that on there. And then if we could also find Meridor's helmet too, that would be helpful. And while we're at it, why don't we nab the water pendant from Slinick and throw that on Legion here. So that Legion also has some water resistance. And yeah, who nabbed the helmet? Who did it? Sapphire Bangle's also not a bad idea if we're looking to further double up on water resistance. Provide some spirit and MP as well. So we could say for that on Legion's second item there. And it looks like it's actually Mardek who's using the scoping lens, Meriador's helmet, and he has already mastered the key reaction here. The plus 50% accuracy is useful, yes, but we were mostly interested in that plus 10% magic offensive reaction there. So why don't we put that on Legion? And then I don't think Legion will have anything on the shield slot, just means we need to throw something else on for Mardek's helmet. And for that, we have plenty of options. We could just go for the Skull Helm, for some solid defenses and a little bit of a life boost. Sure. Let's just heal up, and then we'll head back down, and did we lose? I think we did lose in that process our ability to breathe underwater, because it is technically a status that we lose when we heal. So again, there is actually some reason to load up on Locks of Oxhail, but there we go. Now we can head back down, jump on in. And so we'll head back over toward the Water Temple. And of course, just normal fights here against Binaries, and perhaps gives us an opportunity to use the inventions to Gasomatic on these guys and apply poisons. We also have the repair option, which is specifically for Legion. Legion is not damaged right now, but that might be something that we want to pursue in the future. Say when Legion is damaged. It does deal damage, actually, on top of the poison, so if it's earth damage against water enemies, that could be quite useful. So, turns out, Meriador, maybe that will be a good reason to use you in this circumstance. But these are, of course, low-level enemies here. And they should get much tougher once we make our way into what is really the prelude to the Water Temple, the area that only becomes accessible once we've reached Chapter 3. And now we're already back in, so that's good to see, not much of a trek. However, the enemies will switch up entirely in here, of course. And with some lower-level characters, this could get tough. So pay particular attention to if and when anyone attacks Legion. We have some Angry Cods and we have some Water Drops. The Water Drops, remember, are particularly tough to take care of because they have very strong physical defense. So Gloria does have Razor Leaf, and having a consistent source of Earth spell damage here would be quite useful, I think. Not enough to take out the Cods, but it is enough to take out both the Water Droplets. And so Legion, you have your normal attack. However, if you look at Mimicry right now, can't do anything because we haven't learned any skills yet. So we can just use a straightforward attack for the time being, and it's not really enough to deal much in the way of damage. No offensive reactions either yet. Might need to take another look at whether or not we just haven't equipped those yet. But Meriador can also Gasomatic here, and we can see how much damage that does against a little bit stronger enemies. And still not a lot, although it did apply a poison to one of those Angry Cods, and that's not a terrible thing. Meriador did actually take a sizable amount of damage. Bear in mind, Meriador has 375 life, which is very little. So we'll heal here. And the Cod uses Bubble Breath against Meriador. And did we... I think we also threw on those water pendants and may not have thrown on the magic reactions, because that should have meant that Meriador would take 0 damage from that. So let's make a point of looking at those skills one more time after this fight here. Could Razor Leaf again and get rid of this Angry Cod. I suppose we can just simplify things a bit by doing that. And it's enough for Meriador to level up. What with him being such a low level, should level up pretty quickly here. There is that, at least. Let's take a look at the skills. I don't think there's too much for us to change on Mardek's side of things. He does still have the water reactions in place, although he does now have 2 RP on the passive side of things, so he could, say, get rid of agility and throw on something a little bit more ambitious, or throw on strength as well. So with 4, what would we like to have? We already have clarity on, and we did see that there are some enemies that can cause confusion down here, so that is good to have that. Any other statuses that we've seen happen fairly often? Not sure there's that much there, so maybe just going with something that gives either MP or HP. Let's go with MP. Then Legion. Okay, you definitely do have skills, we just haven't equipped them yet. So, max HP by 10%. Max MP by 20%, sure, and that is already almost using all of Legion's RP there, so that's good to see. We do have some offensive reactions as well, plus 10% damage, and then the plus 50% accuracy is coming from that helmet that we put on. A little bit of a defensive reaction, magic offensive reactions, and magic defensive reactions too. For that water resistance, that will be very helpful down here. Meridor should be similar stuff, and you cannot do both the water reaction and the spell resist, which is coming from that dark robe that we put on. That's really strong, but again, you're such a low level that you don't have a lot of RP, so eventually we'll want to put that on, but not quite yet. Does already have Clarity Mastered. That is very useful down here, of course. Other than that, you can throw on the magic reaction for plus 20% damage. We'll have to double check if the Gas-O-Matic technically counts as a spell or not. But okay, now that leaves us in the hub room in the Water Temple. So we're back where we left off. Okay, and let's head back up and to the left. However, first and foremost, we're going to have some more Angry Cods. I did not even have my hand on the right button there for that reaction, so no chance that was going to work out. We could theoretically repair Legion here. Legion has taken a little bit of damage, however, Meridor is in worse shape. Let's maybe check just how much damage the Gas-O-Matic does now. We may have magic reaction, seems as though we do, and we have double poison, also good to see. And Razor Leaf might be enough to take everyone out here. We'll have to check. Not quite. One Angry Cod remaining. Legion, a chance to use an attack now with an offensive reaction, and is in fact enough damage. So Legion's starting weapon is not amazing. We saw it, has 30 starting attack, which is roughly on par with what we were seeing at the end of Chapter 2 or beginning of Chapter 3. So we definitely do want to try to make a point of getting an upgraded weapon as soon as we can. However, for the moment, we'll want to, first and foremost, master these offensive reactions, and then we'll transition over to something better. Also want to make sure that we, of course, have the crafting materials to make that happen. So, we look at the map here. Let's head on up and see if we can find any more switches for us to flip here. But we'll definitely find our way into more fights. Similar ones here to what we saw before. Angry Cods targeting Legion with just normal attacks. And that does mean Legion has taken a reasonable amount of damage here, and again, at some point we might want to consider repairing, but Gas-O-Matic seems like that is reasonably effective against these guys. Especially if you combine that with a Razor Leaf from Gloria. It seems like that is a good combination to take everyone out, almost everyone out, in just 2 turns. Though both Angry Cods survive here, will the poison do enough damage to get rid of them on their next turns? Possibly not. So let's get rid of one with Legion. Mardek can go next and say, get rid of this one here. And so, again, if we want to try to do more of these fights and hopefully get to the point where Meridor can level up a little bit more and get more of that RP that is somewhat hard for us to find right now. And if we flip this switch, this is a purple one that we've not yet gotten the chance to flip, I don't think. So let's head back to the hub room. And now we will go to the bottom left side. So let's head down. And now what we're going to go for is to activate, deactivate really, the turquoise switch, which we will find right here. And then we will head back to the room that we came from. That being the room to the up and left. We'll head back up there. And most of these fights I think we'll find are unskippable because we have several party members, most notably Meridor, who are quite low level right now, and whether or not you can skip the battles is based on what level the characters in your party are. So Meridor is, in a way, dragging us down a little bit here, but that's alright. Gotta level him up at some point, right? And he's not looking great right now, which is a little bit concerning. So we could Gas-O-Matic here. That's lots of poisons, in fact, enough damage even to get rid of one of the water drops. So much so that even the other water drop will likely go down with the poison damage. The axolotls, they will definitely take a turn next, so can we Razor Leaf to get rid of them? And also, in the process, perhaps finish off that water drop. Well, I don't know if the poison's gonna be enough here. We'll get the chance to go. However, with those water resistances, we will heal. Not so much to the physical attacks. Legion, how much damage can you do? Can you get rid of this stronger axolotl here? Yes, you can. It was close, I think, but you pulled it off. Mardek, with a crit, you certainly can. And it's probably worth just stopping off at the save crystal here to heal a little bit, because we've taken our fair share of damage. And or possibly just dropping a few heals with Mardek, particularly on Meridor and maybe Legion as well. Okay. And how far are we getting with the Miasmal Chalice? 80%, we're actually quite close, so that's good to see. Like I said, we'll just do a quick heal. So now, like I said, we'll head back over here. We're gonna go for the blue switch, which, remind me, is down and to the left a little bit, across this bridge. And purely water elementals here, which I think Meridor was reasonably effective at damaging with the Gasomatic. Well, not too much, I guess. Maybe it was mostly Gloria cleaning up shop here. She's a really strong character to have in the Water Temple, as you can see, based on just how much damage she can do with all those Earth spells, and previously we were perhaps missing out on some of that, so... Legion. Water Elemental only has 3 life remaining, however, it is 80% resistant to physical damage. I think that is probably still little enough HP that I hope you can take it out here. Okay, good. I was gonna say, if you can't deal at least 3 damage, then that'd be quite a concern, right? More water essence. So we cross this bridge and head on over to flip this switch up here. And then once again, we'll head on back. Bridge should still be active. Because remember, those bridges are there when we do not have that color switch flipped. So the reason we have the turquoise bridge is because we have deactivated the turquoise switch. Okay, and then let's cross through here. And cross our bridge that should also be active here. So we'll head on, into this fight. Lots and lots of angry cods. Who will they target? Good question. Bubble Breath on Meridor. Lots against Gloria. And more against Meridor. So, although fortunately, it looks like with those new water resistances, we're looking okay as a group here, so we'll stick to the Gasomatic. And poisons across the board, so that's nice. And then Legion, I don't think you're going to be able to take anyone out here, so why don't you just target the one with the most HP, perhaps? And it is a little odd. We were talking about how Meridor is a lower level right now, but Legion starts off at level 20, and therefore is starting at a much higher level than Meridor is. Of course, if we had used Meridor more, then things might have been a little bit different here. As for Mardek, let's attack the other one with high HP, and doesn't take it out, but the poison should do the trick there. And then Razor Leaf might be enough to take out the other angry cods. We'll have to check. Not quite. Poison, not enough to take this guy out. Bubble Breaths on Meridor. And this one attacks Legion there. Gasomatic this time round should deal enough damage. And so remember that Meridor's damage is based on his level. Unlike other characters who have base attack on their weapons, like the Champion Sword having 32, Clasping Claws 30, Trilobite Staff 30, there is no number there for Meridor's Gasomatic, or Thermal Spanner, or the Flamethrower, and so it is functionally 12, because he is level 12 right now. So for that reason, Meridor actually can get extremely strong if you level him up significantly. It's just that, well, we have not done that yet, of course. Okay, and a turquoise here. So this is the first time in a while we've fought one of these guys. How do they look in terms of earth resistance? Some, unfortunately, 100% resistance to poison, so Gasomatic not going to be nearly as good this time. Only 10 damage and no poison. And Sharla, likewise. 100% resistant to water, so that's definitely not a good idea. Lots of physical defense, so it's not like using an earth attack is going to be any better than using a Razor Leaf. Is there anything else we might want to do with you, though? Could we say, get closer to mastering ability you've not yet mastered, like no water? Don't think the turquoise has anything in the way of water skills, but could do it just for the sake of close to mastering it. Turquoise, I think, will go after Legion here. And Legion, you could attack it, but again, high defense, no physical resistance, so at least that's a good sign. Let's see how much damage this does. Not terrible. And it gem explosions and hits everyone in the party. Now, look very closely. You'll see that we actually saw the word learned above Legion's head there. And that is the first time that we've seen Legion get targeted with an attack that Legion can learn. And that is the way that Legion learns new active skills. So we'll take a closer look when we actually have Legion pick its next turn. Mardek, though, at least for now, I could certainly use a heal. Maybe do that to keep Meridor alive. However, I do think that you're going to be our primary source of damage here, Mardek, so in some ways, I think it might be best. Oh, if you hit with your attack. Meridor, do you have any items right now? You do have a Mana Berry. Could repair Legion. Legion doesn't need it so much. You are more so the one that needs it. So, I mean, we can gas Fanatic, but it's going to do almost nothing here. Gloria, you are capable of healing with an Earth Heal, so that is probably the way to go in that case. And then Legion goes next, and you see Mimicry is no longer grayed out. We do now have the ability to use a skill. So what happened is, this enemy, the turquoise, targeted us with a skill that Legion can learn, and basically there is a secret list of skills that Legion can learn from other enemies when they attack it, and that is how you learn the active skills. So in this case, we learned Gem Explosion, which is a special spell that has its element and power based on the value and element of an equipped gemstone. If 2 gemstones are equipped, it uses the one in the first slot. So this is a little bit of a more unusual skill in that it is based on actually an item that you have equipped right now, and it requires that you have a gemstone in your first slot right there, and we don't have a gemstone there, we have a water pendant, so therefore Legion actually cannot immediately use this ability, but we'll have to look in our inventory afterward and see if there is a way that we can put that on. So for right now, that's not an option. We'll just use physical attacks, but Legion has actually been our primary damager. More gem explosions here, and again, they do hurt. Mardek, could you perhaps actually take this guy out this time? It's not a ton of damage. To tell you the truth, this is a tricky matchup for us. We could opt to have Meridor repair Legion here, but again, I think that it's probably most efficient to have Gloria do that with her own Earth Heal. And Meridor, sorry, but you're not doing too much for us in this fight. And so we could Razor Leaf, just for the sake of eking out a little bit more damage. I suppose a heal is not desperate right now, so we'll take the damage where we can get it. Especially if Legion and Mardek hit here, then that might be enough to take this guy out next turn, but oh man, Meridor very much needs a heal right now. Fortunately, Turquoise down. That shouldn't be that difficult of a fight, but it just so happens that the team we have assembled here is not so great at targeting those guys. So, what we were saying before is that Legion's Gem Explosion ability is based on the gemstone Legion has equipped. If it has 2 equipped, then it will use the one that is in the first accessory spot rather than the one in the second. So say, if we were to put a Fire Opal in that spot, for example, then Legion would have a Gem Explosion ability that is Fire Elemental, because the Fire Opal is Fire Elemental, and the damage would be based on how powerful the Fire Opal is, how valuable it is. And it's not terribly valuable. We've seen a lot of these, and also Fire Elemental attacks is maybe not the best element to have at the moment in the Water Temple. So let's take a quick look at what our other options are. We could say have Dark Elemental if we put on an Onyx, that is a gemstone. Other things we could do would be a Moonstone for Light Elemental attacks. Could even have Fig with a Candriathope. And that is very intriguing because this is actually the only way in which to deal Fig damage. So, let's try throwing this on instead. Will of course mean that Legion will not have as much water resistance. Maybe we throw on the Water Pendant in the second slot for that reason, so that Legion can still have the magic water resistance active. And so we'll take a look at using that Gem Explosion ability next time round, because we've seen some enemies that have either big resistance or big weakness, and we haven't had any way in which to take advantage of that. But this is, like I said, the only way to do that, because it is such a rare element. And hopefully, that will be a way to mix things up a little bit here. Oh, we forgot to heal Meridor between fights, so this might not end well. That would have been a skill that confused Meridor, but I believe we do have this skill active that allows Meridor to completely resist that. So now if we went Mimicry, we would see Gem Explosion is an option, and it says that it's Thalma Elemental here. That's what this star sign is, which is basically the opposite of physical. It is sort of your generic magical elements, and it's mostly kind of just like a placeholder element, because this really does change based on what item you have equipped. So it should be Fig here. Let's take a look at, is anyone weak to Fig. Yeah, now you see here, Gem Explosion shows the Fig element there. So that is this purple one here that's grayed out. There's no resistances or weaknesses for the Axolotl Chiefs. The Iorb spawns actually do have some weakness to it. They, however, do have some magic defense as well. So as to which one is actually better to prioritize, the Chiefs or the Iorb spawns, not entirely sure. Maybe we try a Chief just to see how much damage we're talking here. 378 is something, and it is, like we saw, big elemental, which is pretty cool. However, Gas-O-Matic, I think, will be much more effective this time around. Applies poisons across the board. And we could definitely use a heal, because we forgot to do that. Meridor, at least. Axolotls do go next. Fortunately, target Mardek is probably the most capable of taking those hits. Especially if you heal him. That's quite useful, in fact. And we can probably take out one of the Iorb spawns with Mardek here. So let's do that. And a bubble against Gloria. Also heals, no problem there. We could use another Gem Explosion. And it can only target one enemy at a time, so we do need to specifically target one. And so, again, take your pick. The Axolotl Chief here is a little bit lower on HP. Maybe we can get closer to taking it out. Still not enough, but 411 damage is not bad either. And bear in mind that Legion at the moment only has 11 Spirit, which is not terribly high for a spellcaster, so we could probably do some things to make it so that Legion is dealing more damage with spells. Meridor could Gas-O-Matic again, could repair. I think because these guys are going to be weak to Earth, probably a good way to go with Gas-O-Matic. One of those Axolotl Chiefs will definitely go down to the poison. The other one does definitely need more damage. Gloria, of course, could use a Razor Leaf to deal a fair bit of damage with Earth spells. And given how this Axolotl Chief is going to go down, and this Iorb spawn is pretty resistant to magic, I think we actually target this Axolotl Chief specifically to maximize the damage against it. And the poison might now be enough? Not quite, unfortunately. It hits Legion. Other Axolotl Chief drops down to the poison, and it gives enough experience for Meridor to level. Mardek, why don't you take out the Iorb spawn? No problem there. And then finally, Legion, use another Gem Explosion if you'd like. And there we go. So there will be many more skills for Legion to learn. In fact, there's a chance that Legion has the most skills of any member of our party right now, or at least can learn more than anyone else. It's probably pretty close to Legion and, well, as you can probably guess, Mardek. But, of course, we've only learned one thus far, but we'll be on the lookout for other ways to learn more skills. So one thing that I want to ask you guys is, how much interest do you have in having us hunt down all the various enemies that can help Legion learn more abilities? Is that something you'd like for us to do in videos or outside of videos? So let me know. As of right now, with Gem Explosion being our only special skill on the Mimicry side from Legion, let's take a look at Big Weakness is a thing for the Water Elementals. Angry Cods, less so, so maybe we target the Water Elemental here. See how this goes. And yes, it is enough to take it out in one hit, so that's good stuff. Gas-O-Matic once more. And so, Meridor, one downside, of course, with having skills based exclusively on the item that Meridor has equipped, does mean that he's a little less versatile than many other characters who, of course, have multiple skills they can swap between. But at least in this case, we've fortunately picked one that is pretty suitable for the circumstances. Mardek misses, okay, so the Angry Cod will go again. Fortunately, uses a skill that heals Mardek, and we can probably just go for a physical attack here with Legion. So Legion automatically masters those skills when the enemy attacks Legion with them. Doesn't have to, say, use them 10 or 20 times before they are permanently learned. So in that way, Legion is also different. Okay, so then let's go up and to the left here. And I think we're getting pretty darn close to finishing the Miasmal Chalice. 95% full. Okay. Let's head back up in this direction. And I think this time we're going to target the green switch, which is up and to the left. So we'll make it that way. Right through this room, I believe. Deactivate that. And now that fight was actually, well, was gonna say, theoretically skippable, maybe implying that this is not one of the stronger enemies. However, of course, you saw we had a fair bit of trouble against the turquoise last time. However, we do have the new ability on Legion. We're able to use Gem Explosion, and it is Fig Elemental. These guys are weak to Fig. So, as it turns out, this might be the skill we were looking for. In fact, it takes the turquoise out in one hit. Yeah, not bad at all. And we get a turquoise from it, and that is, of course, another gem, and a fairly valuable one at that, I do think. So this could be a way to give Legion an Ether Elemental Gem Explosion, which is not a bad idea, because Ether is, of course, another element that is very difficult to get skills that deal that type of damage. Dugan had it back in Chapter 2 with his Spirit Blade ability. Of course, Dugan is no longer in the party anymore, and so for that reason, this is, I believe, one of the only ways to get it done in Chapter 3. So we'll head back, and I think we will find now that if we make it back to the hub room, which we are, of course, not so far away from doing, we, of course, need to go through these angry cods first, and they just will not allow Gloria to go at all, lowering her speed by 10 a bazillion times, and there we actually see that Legion did just learn a new ability. It took a while. After many fights with the angry cods, they finally did opt to use Bubble Breath against it, and now we do have that ability as well. So it's a basic water elemental spell-like ability, which inflicts damage and rarely silence. Oh, I'm not sure we've actually seen it silence us at all, but that's good to know. Now, it is, of course, water elemental, and therefore probably not the best skill to be using under these circumstances when just about everyone is going to be healing a lot to water, but it does at least give us another trick up our sleeve. So, as for right now, we could either Gem Explosion again, and Legion's starting to run pretty low on MP, so maybe it's better to, say, just use a normal attack here. Meridor, keep doing what you do, man. And then Mardek is now going before Gloria, because remember, Gloria got minus a bazillion agility here. It says 11, although technically speaking, I think the Angry Cods hit her with minus 10 twice in a row, so if she could go negative, she would have gone negative, but she's just at 0 here. So Mardek, you could probably take out this Angry Cod. Do you have enough damage to take out any of the other ones? Bear in mind, they do have poisons as well. Maybe that's enough. Even if you don't deal the finishing blow, yeah, the poison should still do it. And Razor Leaf, yeah, we probably just hit everyone with it. Does that take everyone out? One remaining poison should get rid of it, though. Nice. See, Meridor, it does make a difference. And Legion actually masters both an offensive reaction and a passive skill. Let's take a closer look at whether Legion has anything else that they can equip now that they've mastered that. Of course, we put on the Canderythope for the Fig Elemental Gem Explosion, and that does, in turn, mean that we now have access to plus 20% XP, and Legion has enough RP that we can throw that on in addition to the 10% HP as well, so no problems there. Other than that, on the offensive side, we've now mastered plus 10% damage. I think this is also coming from the existing claw that we have, so we'll keep this on for now. It's not like we have any other claws to throw on to replace it at the moment, so not really any options there. So, let's head on through. And now I think we are possibly at 99% or something like that on the Miasmal Chalice. So maybe this will be the final fight we need, and it is against an Eye Orb, and not seen one of these guys for a little while. No specific weaknesses or resistances to Fig, so that means that maybe not the best idea to use Gem Explosion. However, from a magic versus physical defensive standpoint, yeah, magic defenses, not anything the way of physical defense, so yeah, let's use a physical attack here. These eyes, they have a lot of HP, so Gas-O-Matic could be helpful if we could, say, inflict that poison. Poison should be pretty high amount of damage each turn. And Razor Leaf, yes, you do have some magic resistance, but it's still Earth Elemental, so that should be helpful. Goes here, and it uses a Laser Beam against Legion. Okay, that's perhaps a little concerning that the eyeball can shoot laser beams. Let's maybe take a chance here to heal. Legion at least looks like they could use it. And then Legion, again, physical attack, Gem Explosion. I think we decided physical attack is the way to go. We'll whittle down the Eye Orb's HP. Gas-O-Matic again, and remember, it does still do some damage in and of itself, but 57's not really going to be much of a game changer. Could potentially try using a physical attack with Gloria, because as long as we hit our Soul Strike reaction, this should be Earth Elemental, and that might have been slightly more damage than the magic attack. And now the shield is on, so we'll deal less damage with physical attacks. Might mean that magic is now the way to go, but Mardek don't have much in the way of options. No magic abilities there. However, Legion might be time for a Gem Explosion. Not bad. And then the Gas-O-Matic plus poison damage might be enough for the Eye Orb to go down on its next turn, especially if, say, Gloria were to use a Razor Leaf here. That in and of itself is enough. Okay. And yes, I think it was the final percentage point that we needed to finish the Miasmal Chalice. So it is, of course, an object called the Miasmal Chalice. When you defeat monsters in this temple, their dark essence is added to this chalice, filling it. Filled with 100 essences, and you can take it as your own. And we have just now filled it. So this is the water one. We, of course, picked up the dark one back in the Dark Temple. So it is full to the brim with the dark miasma of slain monsters. It is now yours. So that's great. And I think that is probably a good place for us to wrap up here, because now, if we take a quick peek here, we will find that we have completed the bridge over to this door through here, and there's no walls blocking this door, so I believe we will find that we are able to make our way in through the next area of the Water Temple. What will we find there? Only time will tell. So I'll see you next time.